Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shreya Malik from the Regional Center for Biotechnology, Faridabad, and a very warm welcome to everyone on behalf of DBT. We welcome you all for the International Women's Day program. The theme of today's program is celebrating success of women scientists, and we are extremely delighted that Secretary Sir has graced the occasion, and we also have senior DBT officers for this important occasion to celebrate women in science. This is an online event, and we have several women scientists, researchers, and students joining us through the platform. And everybody is looking to get inspired through this important occasion. To begin with the program, I request Dr. Sudhanshu Vrati, Executive Director, Regional Center for Biotechnology, to kindly deliver the inaugural address.
Thank you very much, Shreya. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I am audible. But I can't hear you back.
Yes, you're audible, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Very good. Good afternoon to everyone. Let me begin by greeting everyone on International Women's Day that we are celebrating today. Actually, this International Women's Day is on 8th of March, but since that happens to be a holiday, we have decided to hold it 2 days in advance. So warm greetings to everyone on this day. Let me begin by a little bit of history of this day. International Women's Day grew out of the labor movement that became a recognized annual event by the United Nations. The seeds of it were sown in 1908 when 15,000 women marched to New York City demanding shorter working hours, better pay, and the right to vote. A year later, the Socialist Party of America declared the first National Women's Day. The idea to make the day international came from a woman called Clara Zetkin. She was an activist and an advocate for women's rights. She suggested the idea in 1910 at an international conference of working women in Copenhagen. There were 100 women participating there, which were representing 17 countries. And they agreed on her suggestion unanimously to start celebrating a Women's Day each year. So it was first celebrated in 1911 in Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland, and slowly it grew to several countries. And finally, things were made official in 1975 when the United Nations recognized this as International Women's Day and started celebrating the day on 8th of March every year. So International Women's Day has become a day to celebrate how far women have come in our society, in politics, economics, and science. Let us look at the situation of women in science in India. And I've tried to collect some data. This is not up-to-date data, but as much as I could get from the internet, just to highlight the situation of women in science in India. So women make up only about 14% of scientific and technical workforce in India. This is significantly low compared to the global average, which is around 28%. In 2017, the total applicants to various branches of IITs, only about 10% were from women. So not many women were going to IITs at least 5 years ago, but since then there have been several changes in the structure of admissions to IITs, and which encourages more women to participate and more women to get admitted to IITs. If you look at the fellowship awarded by Indian National Science Academy, Indian Academy of Sciences, and National Academy of Sciences, only about 10%, actually less than 10%. It's about 9% of the women who get elected to these fellowships by these science academies. If you look at the strength of scientific and technical staff and women in ISRO, only about 8% of them are women. And certainly no woman has headed ISRO since it was founded in 1963. It is heartening to note that CSIR has its first woman director general as of now, And 2 years ago, we had the first woman president of INSA in Chandrama Saha. It is a fact that even though women are enrolled into PhD and PG programs in greater numbers than the boys, but they fail to convert their degrees into careers due to biological clock and family pressures. Things are changing, although they are slow, but they are changing for good. There are several schemes that are being offered by the government to encourage women's participation in various spheres of life. In science, there are special schemes to promote women researchers, but there is a long road to cover. A lot more needs to be done. And I guess today there would be occasion to look at some of these schemes that are available for exclusively for women, and certainly in science. And I'm sure somebody from DBT is going to highlight this. So to end, I would like to once again greet all my women colleagues on International Women's Day 2023. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your motivating words. Now I request Dr. Sanjay Kumar Mishra, Senior Advisor and Scientist at DBT, to kindly give the welcome address.
Namaskar. Good afternoon, everyone. Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Executive Director, RCB. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Chandrama Saha. She's online. Recipients of the BioCare program of the department in the past, and also the invited speakers who are our former BioCare recipients and right now who are role models for women scientists. My colleagues from the Department of Biotechnology, and also my friends and colleagues from the Autonomous Social Research Labs and outside DBT. On occasion of the International Women's Day, which is celebrated on 8th of March every year,
Dr.
I
Mishra,
welcome all of you.
Dr. Mishra, can you keep your microphone away, because we can't hear. It's making too much of broken noise. Just microphone away and then it would be fine. Just ये microphone को थोड़ा नीचे कर दीजिए, जो ये लगा हुआ है ना.
कौन सा वो वाला?
आपके पास वाला, इसको थोड़ा नीचे कर लीजिए.
अच्छा, इसको नीचे.
Yeah.
ऐसा होता है.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. I did not know this new technique.
No. I think
it's better.
Volume has been set too high or something.
Oh, I see. Okay. So again, I welcome all of you on behalf of the department on occasion of this International Women's Day, which is celebrated on 8th of March. But because of the Holi, the department decided to celebrate 2 days in advance. And as you are aware that any society cannot be called developed in true sense unless all the organs of the society, whether it is gender-based or region-based, all the organs of society, they are developed together. Or in similar way, whether it is any field of science, social sciences, any field, the moment we say that there is a progress, the progress must be seen in all the aspects. And it is interesting to note that even our government always has a motto of inclusive development, which envisages the development of all and every section of the society. So needless to emphasize that the gender parity is one of the very important aspects of any program, any intervention, whether it is government-based or even from societal-based or family-based. So I believe that it's not only limited to the government, it needs to encompass all the sections of the society, whether it is government, family, social, everywhere. We need to have a diversity and we need to have a justice on that. I think thanks to Dr. Vati, who has already given a brief history about how this program, how this day is being started, and various measures which has been started by the government. I would like to just, bring your notice for just 2 or 3 points, key points, which are important, from all of us. Number one, if you look at the data, last couple of years, the gender data, I'm very proud and happy to say that the data of last 15 years, if you look at the ASHRE, which is done by the Ministry of Education, the enrollment of girls and women in all the, whether it is school level, college level, university level, PhD level, all has increased. And gender parity index, the last year, if you look at the higher education sector as one box, it is in favor of women. It's 1.01 something. That means there are more women enrolled in higher education sector. I'm not saying about science, but overall, than men, which is a good achievement. And this has occurred not because of the government intervention alone. This has occurred because of the support from the family, from society, from all walks of life. So that is a commendable job. I appreciate that one on this particular day. However, if you look the other data, which is kind of a stark contrast, and that gives a very strong message to all of us sitting in the government, policy making, or in anywhere in the society, the number of women in workforce, especially in science and technology, Dr. Zaki pointed out 14%. The latest data which is released from the DS is 16.2 or 16%. So yes, I can say it is 2% increase, but I'm not very happy that this has occurred after 10 years from like 14% to 16%. Especially the Asian data of the women participation in science and technology is close to 20, and global data is about 28. That means something is wrong somewhere, that despite having the qualification education, these women are not into the full-time workforce. That is the one point which I think all of us has to ponder and work on. Now, the second point, which many of you might have read, that the growth which has occurred, if you look at the COVID data, like the girls enrollment in school and colleges across the board, published in the ASHRA, you will find the last 2-3 years, like 2020 to 23, there has been a slip or drop among the girls enrollment. Whatever it was X, I think 10 to 15% drop. And need not to mention that there has been drop for men also. But if you compare the drop of men during the COVID time and the drop which has occurred of the women, the drop is much steeper and much higher for women than the men. And one of the study which was published says that we have back to the level of 2017 and 18, enrollment has gone back. So whatever we have achieved till 2017-18, now the enrollment of the girls has gone back to that. So overall, it's going well. But still, that points out the one of the very important factor, that this is one of the vulnerable section. I can say that if little changes in economy, whether it is COVID or in the family structure occurs, it is the women who have to pay the price. Nonetheless, so this is just to kind of ignite that this is not only a celebration of a day, but probably we need to convert our thoughts into the real actions. The last point I think I would like to here just point out that one of these schemes, especially the Ministry of Science and Technology, started in a couple of years, apart from several programs of scholarships, fellowships, all those things. The one scheme, which again I feel privileged to be part in designing, is the Gati program, Gender Advancement Transforming Institutions, which envisages to rank, which I repeat that, rank every university and every research lab in India on basis of objective criteria about how good or not so good, based on physical support, based on policy support, the institution provides women, and that will be published openly. And that will, I suppose, that will be kind of bring some systemic changes in the system. And last point, I would like to say that although I've been head of the Women in Science program, in being a man, just to emphasize my men friend that the women do not want any favor. It is only to provide an equal playing field, that's all, nothing more than that. They will make it that. So with these words, thank you very much. Once again, on this International Women's Day, I welcome all of you, and we hope that the department and all of us will take a kind of a pledge to take this opportunity to support the women at every aspect where there is possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful welcome address and also your insights on gender parity. DBT BioCare program is a very important HRD program for women scientists. Now I request Dr. Suraksha S. Devan, scientist F DBT, to brief us about the BioCare program.
A very good afternoon to one and all, and welcome to this celebration of Women's Day today. Women scientists have been playing an important role in scientific growth of India. Their outstanding contribution to science and societal growth has been remarkable. When acquiring and understanding the contributions of women in the field of science and technology, it is apparent that if women develop interest and enthusiasm and are given opportunity, only then they participate efficiently. In other words, their perspectives and viewpoints need to be identified in these fields too. Therefore, it is very important to provide them platform to perform, showcase their skills, and grow as leaders. With the aim to promote women in science and in attempt to enhance the participation of women scientists in biotechnology research, the department had launched Biotechnology Career Advancement and Reorientation Program, that is BioCare, for women scientists in the year 2011. The purpose is to give an opportunity to women scientists who are not in regular positions or had a break in their careers to get first independent research grant, including fellowships, and thus a chance to get back to the mainstream of science. Through this scheme, we have been able to support 365 women scientists with their first research grants. More than 450 papers have been published, 14 patents have been filed, and 1 international patent has been granted, which is remarkable as these are from their first independent projects. Around 50 women scientists have got employment after getting biocare projects, including 41 as permanent positions as per the data available. Some have founded own companies. Last year on this occasion, one biocare awardee who became CEO of a company had shared her journey right from getting her first biocare project to the foundation of her own company. Today, we have 4 biocare beneficiaries who have achieved great heights in their careers. Dr. Puniti Mathur, Professor, Amity University, Noida. Dr. Kanchan Bharadwaj, Professor, Manav Rachna, International Institute of Research and Studies, Faridabad. Dr. Harsha Bajaj, Scientist at NIST, Trivandrum, Kerala. And Dr. Rakhi Sharma De, Assistant Professor, Belda College, Belda. They will talk about their professional journey, how they have overcome break in career, how they have established in profession, and talk about contributions of the biocare scheme of the department for women scientists in India towards research in biotechnology and allied areas in their career progression. So we are very fortunate to have keynote speaker with us, Dr. Chandrima Shaha. She is JC Bose Chair Distinguished Professor at the IICB Kolkata and former first woman president of India. So thank you speakers, DBT officials, scientists, expert members of the committees, principals, lecturers, teachers and students from various institutes, universities and colleges who have joined this event. Hope all our efforts will motivate youngsters to take science as a career, help women researchers who have started their careers or those who wish to revive their careers and thus could contribute in creation of a strong generation of women leadership in science and technology in future. Wish you all a very happy Women's Day in advance. May women get recognition as an integral part of each and every system, not only in India, but at the global level. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for briefing us about the highlights and achievements of biocare program. Now, may I request Secretary Sir that on the occasion of Women's Day program, if Sir may kindly present a token of appreciation, a bouquet to the DBT women officers present over here for the meeting.
First, Dr. Alka Sharma, ma'am. Dr. Namika Gambhir, ma'am. Dr. Sangeeta Kasture. DS, ma'am. Dr. Sumita. Dr. Kalevani. Dr. Sandhya. And all the officers sitting there, please come. Please come forward. Thank you. Thank you, sir. प्लीज आ जाइए दूसरी ट्रे तो दो ये मुझे दो, छोड़ दो यहीं रख दो शैलजा मैम Dr. Kamakshi.
फोटो आ रही है आप लोग घर से
खुशबू आप जाओ।
दोबारा
तो रहेगा।
Anybody else?
कृतिका।
कृतिका, हाँ आप अपने आप आ जाइए फिर।
हाँ कोई रह गया, मुझे सब दिख नहीं रहे यहाँ से।
नाम छूट गया हो तो आप आ जाइए प्लीज। हाँ आप चलिए।
हाँ नेहा। थैंक यू सर।
Thank you so much, sir. May we request you to please address the gathering?
Namaskar to all of you who are gathered here at DBT and who are on the screen. I had a pleasure of giving roses and pens to all the women who were here in person. I wish you all very best across the screen with the rose and the pen to you. I think the office would make sure it reaches you today or tomorrow.
Virtual.
Virtual.
Virtual, of course.
I think it's a great pleasure to participate in this session, which is a special session for special women. In fact, I would say, all the one who have really are empowered to do things that can change the world. And therefore, my very warm greetings to all of you actually to do your best in whatever ways you can to make sure all the others women also get equal opportunity and equal scale to reach actually. I think it's, I'm very happy that Dr. Chandrima Shah, who was once our director at National Institute of Technology, is here now. Old friend of mine and colleague of mine actually, and really very happy that she's going to give a keynote address today. Also, some of the professionals who have success stories to share, please become role models. It's very important for us to become role models actually, because that's the only way one can motivate each other and keep the momentum high. I mean, the classical example is really what just began on Sunday evening. You must have all seen Women's IPL actually, right? It's a show of success, and it's something that all women should be proud about actually. That there's a theme specifically directed for a sport that was never considered to be woman friendly. And in fact, last time also I said in one of the meetings that Indian Cricket Board is the only board or only sports body that gives equal salary structure to both men and women actually. Even Wimbledon has not been able to do away with their practices actually. World thinks they are ahead of us. I can tell you that we are way ahead of all the worlds in many, many ways actually. So I think we should be proud about it actually, and I think it's something to really proud of. I think a lot of people have talked about a lot of contradictions of life, and I thought I will share one contradiction that I think is even more important, became very, very critical during the COVID time, which is the healthcare sector. And if you really look at the healthcare sector, there's a paper in Lancet which says women represent about 71% of the healthcare sector actually, and in global workforce. So you can imagine that woman is in charge of the healthcare of the world, and 71 is a very, very large number actually. And therefore, first of all, it's something to be proud of about actually. However, if you look at the early career where men and women move at the same pace, the later part of the careers actually are not as friendly as for the leadership positions actually. And I think it is that what all of you should aspire to become. Primarily because, as you push along with yourself, you will be able to drive very many women to be able to look at. In fact, there are several disadvantages, and having worked in the lab, I know several women scientists in my lab. There's a one girl who worked with me for PhD and took a break for a PhD for getting married, and after that to have child and raise the child actually. And she constantly complains that I can't come back to a science as a career actually. And I have a very strong feelings for her. Believe me, I can clearly understand her apathy. But people don't want a second career as a science, right? I mean, what woman is looking at as an aggressive scientific career positions which are in par or at par or in conjunction with what everybody is getting, and not particularly only for a specific cause, but for the purpose of doing it. So I think that is one part of life actually, and that one needs to correct it. Whatever it takes, we should correct it actually. We have to provide additional benefit to women. That's the only way it can be done. But with the healthcare sector also, if you really look at, it's very interesting. While 71% of the woman takes care of the entire world, the gender parity, pervasiveness of inequality in healthcare is in fact the other way around. If you look at how many diabetes patients report to the clinic, which are men and women, and you'll be surprised that many women in fact just stay at home and think that their diabetes they can cure and they have not to worry about it, whereas the men goes out. And only one of the disease that I worked with where it was completely reversed, and that you can again predict and look at it, was in fact leukoderma or vitiligo actually, white patches on the skin. Every clinic would have 70% women than 70% men wanting to get themselves curated because of the skin diseases that are actually almost not doing nothing to your body, but it's kind of silent killer, but it generates inequality and generates problems of lives. So actually that's where I define contradictions actually. And these contradictions in life needs to be corrected by all of you who are present over here, whom I think are the most empowered women whom I can think of in terms of various ways and activities to look at. So my sincere request is to keep the momentum, keep the spirit high, and make sure you motivate all and others to look at it. Now this world, this time the digit all is the logo of the International World Day, Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality. And I think the key theme for the upcoming 67th session of Commission on the Status of Women is on innovation and technological transformation and education in the digital age for achieving gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls is what is the whole concept is actually. And obviously, I believe that the technology is a tremendous leveler in terms of the way the lives of women can dramatically change. I mean, we have seen this during the COVID times, how women had to do everything from home actually. And of course, very often men also, got engaged in that and therefore made enormous difference to the society. But I have one request to all of you actually, and that is to do with the fact that even if you take personal breaks, don't think these are for bad reasons. It in fact empowers the society, and therefore we should support with pride women with breaks and give them every possible way an incentive to bring them back to the system actually. I don't know if BioCare has any guidelines of age or anything. I would think we should just dissolve all the age criteria actually. There should not be any reason why of a certain age women cannot apply. I want to take 5 years break because I want to raise my children. I will take 5 years break. The whole idea is, do you have capacity and momentum to come back? Are you competitive enough? And are you good enough to be able to look at it? I think I congratulate all the DBT officers for doing fantastic work in DBT. Really, I couldn't have done without all of you actually. I mean, all of you hold the fort. And as all of you know, DBT is primarily, I think, woman-centric organization actually from a perspective of larger amount of population up there. In fact, past 2 DBT secretaries also have been women from the women society. So we have a very largely balancing society actually, and I think that's why this is a wonderful place to work with actually. Also congratulate Suraksha and Sanjay Mishra ji for the BioCare program and the team at the RCB who handles all these together. I think please keep up the spirit. It's very important and very critical that one incentivize people to get back to the systems. And I really believe that there is no other motto. But I think as our the past president of India used to talk about in a very simple way, if your mother is happy, children are happy, family is happy, and everybody is happy. And therefore, please spend time with the mother and you'll get everything back. Thank you very much, and thank you for all of you joining us.
Thank you, sir, for your motivating words. I'm sure they are a great source of inspiration for all women scientists listening in the event. Now we have a few women scientists from the BioCare program who will be presenting their professional journey and scientific journey with the support of BioCare program. So our first speaker is Dr. Puniti Mathur. She is a professor and head of Center for Computational Biology and Bioinformatics at the Amity Institute of Biotechnology, Noida. Her area of research includes computer-aided drug and peptide design, peptide synthesis, conformation, and bioactivity. She has over 23 publications in international journals and has also filed 2 Indian patents. Dr. Puniti, may I request you to please start your presentation?
Yeah, thank you very much, Shreya. I hope I am audible and my slides are visible to everyone.
Yes, please.
Yeah, very good afternoon to all. I'm extremely delighted and I feel really fortunate to be present here celebrating the International Women's Week with all of you. And I'm very thankful especially to DBT for giving me this opportunity. So I'm here to discuss the role of BioCare grant in my career. So to start with, I would just like to speak about my scientific professional journey that has been there. So I actually jumped into biotechnology in 1997 when I passed out of MSc Biotechnology from University of Roorkee, which is now IIT Roorkee. And then I moved to do my PhD at AIIMS, New Delhi. And then after doing this, I did it from the Department of MMR, Nuclear Magnetic Resonance, under Dr. Jagannathan. After completing my PhD, which was a combination of institutions, so my work was split between AIIMS and ICGEB. So after completing my PhD, I joined ICGEB, was there for around a year, and then finally, I thought I should now look for some kind of a professional, a job. So I was initially very, very inclined to move into industry, and therefore I applied to a few industries, and I was lucky enough to get through Dabur Research Foundation. In those days, it was headed by Dr. Rama Mukherjee, who was again from NIT, and she was leading the Dabur Research Foundation there. So I was lucky enough to get into the new drug research department there, and I was working on peptides with the Dr. Sudhanand Prasad there. So we were working on synthesis and making peptides for a different kind of cancer. Then I had 4 years of my stay at Dabur Research Foundation, where I also had a small baby during that time. And then I decided that I should move into academics. And therefore, I joined Amity University, Noida in 2008. After having joined academics from a research, from an industry, yes, it took me some time to settle into that environment. But then I started thinking, now I need to do some research, and something that I could not do in industry, I should now start doing. And so I started applying for funding to various government agencies. And finally, this dream came true when I got the sanction letter from DBT BioCare. But by the time I got this breakthrough, I had already continued my assistant professor level for 9 years. And I was not getting promoted because the criteria for promotion was very strong at that time. My director was very, very fixed on this idea that if you do not have a research grant, you cannot be promoted. So I was kind of feeling stagnated at that point, and DBT BioCare at that time proved to be a blessing for me. The first big thing that happened was it gave a direction to my research ideas. So all that I've been, I had in my mind from all this years of research that I'd done during my PhD, during post-PhD from the industry. So I wanted to do something, but I was not getting a break for it. So BioCare, you proved to be a blessing in that. And after doing this project, I could actually publish 2 research articles, 1 review, create 2 databases, and also filed a provisional patent. And the other advantage that it gave was that my career moved to a professor position. So in its true language, the career advancement and reorientation, actually what really happened to me was my career was advanced. So I moved to an associate professor position and then to a professor position. And my further plans that I have is further, I have to file this complete patent in the next 2 months. And I'm also looking forward to extending this work on animal studies in drug delivery systems. Now, just as a person gets very happy when a person builds a new house, this is just to show you my lab that I built up, and I profusely thank DBT BioCare for it. So I was so happy when I was putting up pieces together to make a lab, and I got a lyophilizer and a deep microplate reader and a peptide synthesis machine and lyophilizer. So it happened bit by bit, but I was really happy. And this is the slide that is showing you the lab that I built up from this grant. So speaking a little bit about the project that I worked in. So this was the project. It was design, synthesis, and biological activity of non-coded amino acids containing peptides as potential activators of hepatic glucokinase and its implications in type 2 diabetes therapy. So I did it under the mentorship of Professor Simran Tandon, who is at Abbott University, Punjab, Mohali as of now. So giving you a little background of what my work was. So we all are aware of glycolysis, which is the simplest pathway. In biochemistry, all of us learned this for the first time. And we all know that hexokinase are that it plays. So glucokinase is just a type 4 hexokinase. It's a typical kinase, a bilobe structure. And we have a glucose binding site, which is a substrate, and an allosteric binding site. And glucokinase activators, they bind to the allosteric site and they promote glucose-stimulated insulin secretion in the beta cells of the pancreas. And also promotes the glycogen synthesis in hepatocytes. And therefore, this is a very, very promising target for type 2 diabetes. Now, what my work was to design activators for this particular protein. And I have specially concentrated on using non-coded amino acids containing peptides. And I've concentrated on using a dihydrophenylalanine, which differs from phenylalanine in having a double bond between the alpha and the beta carbon. So this is from the search that I did on peptides containing non-standard amino acids. I saw there was a lot of literature that was available. So it was not present anywhere in a structured way. So with the help of my students, I made a database which is called as PepEngine. So it's a manually curated structural database of peptides which contain dihydrophenylalanine and alpha amino isobutyric acid. So this contains complete structural information, and why I did that is so that I know what is present in the literature and I can maybe use those structures as my peptide activators. The other thing that I did was I was studying the glucokinase protein and the modulators that are already known, gathered the bioactivity data that is available, used QuickProp and Schrodinger to get the molecular descriptor data, and designed a database which is called as the glucokinase DB. This contains a lot of information, a lot of data on physicochemical activities, on pharmacological activities, lipophilicity, the complete profiling. Plus, it also contains the links to various databases like Chembl, PubChem, Zinc, and other databases likewise. The 3D structures are also present. So these are the two databases that I created and published them. A very, very short description of what I did was in silico, was to prepare a peptide library, which contains lakhs of peptides. And on the other hand, I prepared a pharmacophore with the already known activators. So it was a hybrid pharmacophore. And then I used virtual screening, a pharmacophore-based virtual screening, to screen this peptide database, the library I mean, and I got my lead peptides From the lead peptides, I subjected them to molecular dynamics simulations. From the leads that I got through simulations, this is all wet lab activity, where I synthesized peptides, characterized them. Then I used an assay where the glucokinase is estimated using glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme. And what we measure is the NADPH that is released. And this is done using, I did in vitro glucokinase enzyme assay, which was spectrophotometric. So using the 340 nanometers wavelength I measured. To see what is the activity, we actually got a few peptides which had a higher activation than when there was no peptide or when there was no activator present. The other thing that I did was a cell-based glucokinase assay, which was a fluorometric assay, and I could get one peptide which shows me a good activity. So this is a very, very small gist of what I did, because I was told that this lecture has to be more friendly to a general audience. So coming to the achievements, all this data
Dr. Puniti, please conclude in a minute.
Absolutely, I'll just conclude. So all the data that I just showed has been filed as a provisional patent. I yet have to publish it. And the two papers I've already talked about and the databases that I talked about. So I would like to thank now, first of all, Dr. Suraksha Vival and the team of DBT BioCare for giving all the support, not only for provisional patent and the extension request, also during the handholding that they gave when we were filing our UCs and SOEs. I also thank my PhD students for the work done and the various places where I did my work, the Catalyst Biosciences, JNU, and ICGEB. This is a small pic that I had preserved from my first BioCare conclave, where I presented a poster. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, DBT. Thank you, DBT BioCare, for all the help and the push to my career that this project gave. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mathur. I'm sure your journey is a source of inspiration for many young women researchers out there participating in this online event. Thank you so much for your presentation. Our next speaker is Dr. Kanchan Bhardwaj. Dr. Bhardwaj is currently working as a professor at the Biotechnology Department, Manav Rachna University, Faridabad. She is a PhD in biochemistry with around 18 years of post-PhD experience. Her area of research is virology. Dr. Kanchan, you are next for the presentation. May we request you to please switch on your camera and start your presentation. Also, we request you that to kindly focus more on your scientific journey and your professional journey and how you have overcome all the obstacles to reach at this point in your careers, which is a source of inspiration for other young professionals and source of motivation as well. Over to you, Dr. Kanchan.
Sure. I hope I'm audible and my slides are visible.
Yes, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank DBT and the organizers to have me here today on the occasion of Women's Day to share my experiences as a woman in science. Now, I am an example of someone who has been fortunate to have received education and training from premier institutions with scholarships and appreciations, but have not had a proportionate career, even had a career break of around 4 years. The reasons were many, but a factor which I think had a major role to play was me trying to balance this career and other social responsibilities. And because of which, for example, I had restricted myself in terms of geographies. Like I wanted to be close to my family or be with my family. So I made some compromises on my career. I also, for same reason, I had also not been able to stick to a particular domain of specialization for a long time. I made many changes in that also. but I am highly appreciative of the sensitivity of DBT and its programs like BioCare. Today, I get to do, because of BioCare, I get to do something which I really enjoy doing. I'm helped financially. I can somewhat justify all the initial hard work and investment because of this opportunity. And also BioCare has now put me in a position of or this phase of opportunity for continuous learning, as well as opportunity to be able to return back or give back to society. And my project, my BioCare, I received BioCare from 2017 to 2021. And the project was it was to undertake metagenome sequence analysis of human gut virome. It was an emerging field, so it took little longer than what would have been desirable. But ultimately, we were able to document initial findings in a reputed journal, as well as we submitted data to NCBI database. We are also now working on another manuscript. We have generated preliminary data for follow-up studies, and I'm formulating another proposal for that. This work was also presented in a conference which was held at THSTI recently. It will also be presented in another conference which will be held at Athens by American Society of Virology. This experience also helped me connect with other scientists. I was able to contribute to another similar project which was being done at AIIMS, New Delhi. I also became a contributor to a review article with these international panel of investigators. Plus, through this project, many students also were able to get trained in this emerging field. After my BioCare got over in 2021, I joined as a faculty member at the Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies, Faridabad, where now I'm working as a coordinator for UG and PG courses. I am also a coordinator for student activities like internship, student placements, and Industry Connect. And plus, I contribute as a member of departmental committees like BOS, DAC, DRC, etc. Because of all these opportunities, now I am able to train students with small funding from a Newgen IDC towards bioentrepreneurship and startups. I'm also guiding PhD students towards research. I have been contributing as a reviewer and topic editor. I'm also a full member of Society of Virology. At this point, I would like to acknowledge and thank my mentor, Dr. Sudhanshu Vrati, who not only had absolute support for my BioCare, he also gave me this opportunity to work on chikungunya virus. And we were able to generate a significant amount of data, substantial data, as a preliminary study. And based on this, now recently I received another fellowship and research funding from SERB, DST. In addition to my family and my mentor, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank my other friends and colleagues, Professor Cheng Kao, Dr. Ranjit, Ms. Suman, Dr. Swati Saha, Professor Prasanjit, Dr. Bhabtosh, Dr. Milan, Dr. Nipen, DBT and DBT BioCare program officers, Dr. Suraksha and Dr. Abhishek. They made, in some or the other way, they made this comeback easier for me. So thank you. I really acknowledge their help. In addition, I would like to thank you all for your time and attention. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Kanchan, for sharing your journey with us and also for inspiring the young students in the scientific journey. Our next speaker is Dr. Harsha Bajaj. Dr. Harsha is a scientist at CSR NEEST, Thiruvananthapuram. Dr. Harsha completed her BTech at NIT Warangal. Then she did her master's and PhD from Jacobs University in Germany in the field of membrane biophysics. She has done her postdoctoral study in a collaborative project between Germany and Cambridge in 2016. Currently, her area of research is membrane biology and synthetic biology. May I request Dr. Harsha to kindly begin your presentation, and also we request you to kindly focus more on your scientific journey for motivating the young researchers. Thank you.
I hope my slides are visible and I'm audible.
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect. So I would like to start by thanking the organizers, DBT, Dr. Suraksha, and team for inviting me for such a lecture, and it is completely my pleasure and my honor. So today I'll be talking about my scientific journey with BioCare, and as already Ms. Shreya pointed out, so I did my bachelor's in 2011 from NIT Warangal, and then I went on to do my integrated PhD in Germany in the field of membrane biophysics, which is particularly focused on understanding antibiotic formation across membrane proteins and its role in resistance. Eventually, I went on to do my postdoctoral study, which was only for a year indeed, which was in collaboration with Bremen, the same lab where I did my PhD, and Cambridge. So you can imagine I had a very short experience of postdoc. But eventually I thought that now is the time that I should move to India together with my husband indeed. And I was looking at different opportunities to move back to India, particularly to establish my own lab as an independent PI, or even together with, a short postdoctoral stint. But the idea was eventually to become a researcher, to get an independent position and to start my own lab. So that was the idea, and I came across BioCare. And in 2016, indeed, I got the BioCare grant on a similar topic of understanding antibiotic transport and its relevance or its role in resistance. But during the same time in 2016, I fell pregnant with my child. And even before starting BioCare, I already had these doubts of how will I proceed with this whole grant now, as this will be my first independent grant, and this was basically my career break for almost 1.5 and 2 years. This actually raised quite a lot of question marks, because I started my BioCare, or I applied my BioCare with Professor M.K. Matthew at NCBS. So the first thing that I did is I went on to talk to him that what do I do, how do I proceed, because my pregnancy turned out to be a complicated one, and I had to take a complete bed rest during my pregnancy. So I went on to discuss with him, and he, being absolutely generous and fantastic mentor, he told me, Harsha, just go ahead, do not be scared or afraid, just go ahead, take your break, and then you can come back, join back my lab whenever it is comfortable for you, and we will proceed with this. So that was the first time that I felt that, oh, there are people like him who are willing and supporting that kind of he removed all these question marks for me. And the second part was to arrange the whole, logistics, the administrative part. And when I spoke to Dr. Suraksha, she being equally supportive and kind, she told me the complete procedure and on how to obtain an extension and how to, postpone the whole grant altogether. And I must take the opportunity and this platform to thank both of these people, Professor M.K. Matthew and Dr. Suraksha, to, to help me, go through this. Because at one point when I knew the pregnancy was so complicated, I even went on to doubt myself whether I'll be able to take up a research career altogether. But both of these people instilled that sort of confidence in me that no, it is still possible. You take a break, You come back, and then we shall see how we proceed with the whole thing. And when I wanted to join back, Professor Matthew, in my biotech grant started, or I got my biotech grant in 2016, but then eventually I had to join him only in 2018, and he was close to retirement. And at that, around the same time, my husband got a position in Trivandrum. So there was another question mark of how do I proceed with this, because NCBS, it's in Bangalore, and then to travel and with the whole arrangement would be extremely complicated with a very young child of almost like 5 or 6 months. Again, both of them came to my rescue, and Professor Matthew said, you can join the lab for, initially 4 or 5 months, and then eventually you can move back to Trivandrum how and whenever you get a position. And the same thing Dr. Suraksha did for me. She gave me the whole support, the administrative support on how to move, or even whether this was possible. Even, before joining BioCare, I had to approach her with this whole question. And she was so kind and supportive. And I must really thank both of them to, help me overcome this whole situation, because I think this is where the key lies, that, young female scientists or female scientists, when it comes to career break and how to proceed with the whole thing, when the whole thing becomes geographically, administratively so complex, how to proceed with this whole thing. And I must thank both of them to, make the whole process so smooth and instilling such kind of confidence in me. And eventually, when I started looking for, different kinds of labs in Trivandrum, I came across one of the labs, which is CSIR NIST lab, and that is Professor Nambudri acted as my mentor. And this indeed acted as a turning point for me, I must say, because Dr. Nambudri, again, I must use this platform to thank him, because he provided me with the most needed thing that any independent scientist would require. That is the independence to do anything, whatever you wish to do. Especially when you are as a BioCare fellow, you would like to apply maybe further grants, more grants to become an independent scientist. And that is what Dr. Nambudri did. And this really acted as a turning point for me. And eventually what I did as a BioCare fellow at CSIR NIST, I applied for this DBT, again a DBT grant, DBT Hargobind Khurana IYBF grant. And I got this particular grant on a similar topic of quantifying transport across membranes and membrane proteins. And this was particularly to quantify transport across transport of several kinds of antimicrobial, microbial peptides or antibiotics. And we do that in our lab using systems called as liposomes, or also called as giant unilamellar liposomes. And here, this is what we did in this sort of work, which is already published in one of the very high impact journals. And here I would just like to say that this is one of the first outer membrane mimicking models that we have shown from our lab completely independently. And I am indeed the corresponding author of these papers, what I show over here. And we were able to publish such high impact science papers completely independently from CSIR NIST, and a few high impact papers as collaborative grants, as collaborative projects, sorry. And this is what we had been doing in our lab. And during this time, I also spoke to the director of the institute, because like I said, the eventual goal is to become an independent researcher. But both of these grants are very good indeed to provide support and to start off the career, to start off an independent lab. And when I spoke to my director, which is Dr. A. Ajay Ghosh, I spoke to him that this is what we are doing in our lab. This is the research topic, which is particularly related to membrane biology, membrane biophysics, understanding transport with respect to antibiotic resistance. And he indeed believed in me, and he basically offered me a scientist position, a permanent scientist position at CSIR NIST. And I eventually joined as I got absorbed as a scientist in August 2021. And this, I must say, is a very big milestone for me to achieve this sort of thing with support from DBT, family, and friends. And I would like to take this platform to, thank all of them, including the former director, Dr. A. Ajay Ghosh, who still believes in me and believed in me, and at that point of time that I am capable of doing something, showing something, and most importantly, to run an independent research lab. And currently in our lab, apart from working on antibiotic transport, we are also working in the field of synthetic biology, which we have right now kick-started. And the idea is to make synthetic cells, programmable synthetic cells, based on which indeed I also got 2 independent grants, which is DST Inspire Faculty Grant in 2021 and DST Serve Power Grant in 2022. And I'm very happy to show you one of the recent achievements from our lab is that I got the NACI Young Scientist Jubilee Award, which is based on the work of membrane bending, of how lipids, particularly lipopolysaccharide kind of lipids, can induce membrane bending. And at this point, I must thank 2 of my first students. One Gayatri, who was paid by the BioCare, or who was hired in the BioCare, and Kartika, who is my first PhD student. Gayatri, she worked day and night. Indeed, both of them worked day and night, and they actually formed the pillars of my lab in the first 2 years. As you know, I started in 2018, 2019, and then COVID hit 2020. We couldn't work for a very long time, for several months, but still both of them were very persistent, and because of them we could publish very high impact papers, and we were able to get this Young Scientist Jubilee Award. Right now Gayatri is doing her PhD at University of Leeds, and Kartika recently got to do her PhD in my lab. She got the Single Girl Child Fellowship. So with this, I would actually end my talk, just show some of my output from the BioCare and the awards during this time. And I would like to thank all of you, and especially the former director, the current director, all the members, and the people who I have really focused on in this presentation, Professor Matthew, Dr. Suraksha, and Professor Madhav Namboothri. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harsha. We are truly inspired by your journey to know so many, that you have got so many awards, fellowships, grants from different funding agencies, and it's indeed very inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, and I was saying that you also graduated as a mother also. That is also one very big award. I think the biggest
and I think she has acknowledged everybody, right, across the spectrum. And all the best to your career. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Really,
thank you.
great.
Also nature paper, having a baby.
Nature.
That happens, the women can do whatever, like there is strength you can't question.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
so much.
Harsha. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr. Rakhi Sharma De. Dr. Rakhi is Assistant Professor at Belda College, Paschim Medinipur, West Bengal. She obtained her bachelor's and master's degree from University of Calcutta in physiology. Then she joined PhD under Professor Maharani Chakrabarti at BHU. She was selected to work as postdoctoral fellow under an eminent virologist at UCLA. Then she joined different temporary positions as RAO postdoc fellow in different institutes. She's also received STE Women Excellence Award in recognition of her contribution of research in human diseases and their molecular basis. Currently, her area of research is molecular virology, public health, and food safety. And we thank Dr. Rakhi for sharing her journey with us. May we request you to please start your presentation and also focus more on the scientific and your professional journey for inspiring the young scholars who are present in the online event.
Yes,
over to you, Dr. Rakhi.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me and see my slides?
Yes, yes, please. Maybe you can be a little more louder.
Okay.
And please put this presentation on a full screen mode.
It's, I put it in, it's not full screen.
Can you press F5?
Is this okay?
It's okay. You can please go ahead with the presentation.
Okay. Thank you. First, I would like to say very good afternoon to all of you present here, both physically and virtually. And I would like to thank the DBT team for giving me an opportunity to talk on my uh, scientific career on the event of International Women's Day week. And as Madam already told, presently I am working as an assistant professor in Belda College. So let us start with my career. Actually, I started my doctorate degree from in Banaras Hindu University under one of the eminent scientists of India, Professor Maharani Chakravarti, she got tribute in 2017 as one of the eminent women scientists of India. See, as it's a professional, it's a scientific career, I should acknowledge her, both late Professor Maharani Chakravarti and Professor D.P. Verma, for giving me the opportunity to work in their institute at that time in the DBT project in 1993, and giving me the scientific attitude, actually, that I learned from her and Professor D.P. Verma while working on bacteriophage MD78. And in addition to the learning different techniques at that time, you can imagine in 1992, molecular biology in India is not in all the labs, but in Madam's lab, we learned, those we are working there, we are able to learn good techniques and the scientific attitude. And one thing I should mention and dedicate to her, that today in this platform, when we are talking about the women in science, they are the one who are actually showed us, and in her staying with her and how she is managing family and scientific world, I learned from her little bit. That's why I just put her photograph here to know all of you. Maybe many of you know her. So after doing my PhD, I got an opportunity to work in University of California, Los Angeles with Professor Ashim Dasgupta. And there I worked on polio virus and hepatitis C virus. So my initial love on science is on viruses, whether it's bacteriophage or it's viruses. But due to my husband's job in India, we had to come back in 2002 in India. And at that time, my son was born. So I had to discontinue for 1.5 years, as just now Harsha told. And then for the sake of my family, I did a postdoctoral research associateship just close to my house in Science Institute of Nuclear Physics, so that I can be around to my family. So in both the places, I worked on two different projects, as the name already told, that it's on exonization of ALU sequence and on heat stress. So why I mentioned this, that while doing science or anything, we need the passion also.
Dr. Rakhi, your slides are not moving.
Can you see that, Dr. DB?
Yes. Now we can.
Okay, let me give it small only so that I can just press it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So then I did that research associates position, because that time I did not get in permanent position. So I was working on different projects. And then I got a position in a private company, TCG Life Sciences. But I discontinued it because that is not giving me any happiness, and that is not at that time is not able for me. It's not able to continue in a private company with my small son. So I left that position, and then again I was looking for some projects or some position. So then I got a position in Scientist 2 in a project only under Dr. Mamta Chawla Sarkar. And it's a multi-site protein in project on influenza virus. So again, I entered into viruses, and then I found that, okay, that is the part where I am actually finding interest of my own. So if you see my break, I have already mentioned from March to August 2003, and then 7 to 8. At that time, when I did not get any position in Calcutta, both temporary or permanent, I was working as a guest faculty in different colleges. And then when I was working with Dr. Mamta Chawla Sarkar on multi-site influenza project, that project also got ended in the 2009. Then with the help of then director Dr. G.B. Nair and Dr. T. Ramamurthy, they actually helped me. They knew me from 1993 only. So I approached them and they helped me in giving some samples to work on adenovirus sample. And then I got a very good publication in 2000, although they got published in 2011, but this work was actually I was doing. So here when I talk about the role of biocare, first I should like to just, those who don't know that this part of biocare, I would like to say that initially when biocare advertised for women this scheme, I applied on adenovirus infection pathogenesis because I was working on adenovirus at that time. But that was not get funded. So I was very upset that it's not get funded. It's a very good project. And then in same year, in the November 2011, I hope that that time I'm not sure that Dr. Diwan is there or not, but they have organized a workshop on how to write a project. Like which project gets funded, what they actually look for, the title, the objective, the background, everything. So that workshop actually helped me a lot. I should appreciate not only the fund, but this workshop on how to write a project helped me a lot. Then I wrote another project with my learning with eminent scientists at that time who talked on that workshop, to write on a project that novel strategy of influenza virus for skipping antiviral mechanism, interaction influenza virus with host protein. And because I was there in National Institute of Cholera and Enteric Diseases working on different that adenovirus projects, and that Dr. Mamta Chawla, I should I acknowledge her also for allowing me and encouraging me to write a project, so that, and she said that I will get all the facility from her lab in virology to work on this project. So initial project I wrote with her mentorship and my fellowship. But in the meantime, I got a contractual position in Barakpur Rasguru Surendranath College. And that was a contractual position. That means I'd like to mention here that salary is not as an assistant professor. But still, that was, I joined there because that West Bengal government that time said that this position will continue for 60 years. So I thought better than nothing, at least I will have some position so that I will be able to work for till 60 years. So when the project gets sanctioned in 2013, I was very much worried that whether this will get implemented in that college or not. Then I wrote to Dr. Diwan and requested her, and she said that okay, it's fine, but many official things we have to send from college. So that
Dr. Rakhi, may we request you to please conclude in a minute?
Yes. So then I got some fellowship in GRF and SRF. So I take a student, and then I worked on this project. And I'm not presenting any data here. I presented manuscript is ready, and there are many reviewer has asking us to do some work. So we are doing on that. And very soon we'll get the publication. In addition to that, this project has given me an identity as a scientist that and my passion I can do with the viruses, and also the work. These are the few publication I just show, but I thank everyone. But here I would also like to mention that the present college is almost 170 or 70 kilometers away from my home. But still I took it because for so long I did not get any position. So this project and my interest in the work helped me to overcome the interview and got a permanent position in Belda College. And they have now get the research center. So I will continue. Still the work is going on in different lab, but my own lab is not yet set up. I will set up it there and then do further work. So I would like to thank especially Suraksha Madam for allowing me to implement in Barakpur Rashtrasanath College and doing my work. And all the time she helped me, and that actually gave me independence of working in as a scientist and guiding the student. So I would also like to mention that in that contractual position we are not allowed to get any student PhD. So that's why no student has yet got PhD under me. But one student worked as an SRF and for doing the work of the project because the fellowship was there. So, but not yet. Okay. So thank you everyone for allowing me and hearing my.
Thank you, Dr. Rakhi, for sharing your journey with us and for motivating all scholars. Thank you so much. And thank you to all our presentees. Now we have Dr. Chandrima Shah, our keynote speaker with us. Madam, you can hear us. We request you to please switch on your camera.
Yes, just a second. I'm doing that. Yeah. Can you see me?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am is a JC Bose Chair, Distinguished Professor at IICB Calcutta. She is also the former first woman president of INSA and also the former director of NIA. She is an elected fellow of World Academy of Sciences and a fellow of all the 3 science academies of India. Ma'am has served as vice president of international affairs of INSA and as a member of the councils of all the 3 national academies. Some of the notable awards include Ranbaxy Science Foundation Award for Basic Sciences, JC Bose National Fellowship, Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Medal of INSA, Shakuntala Amir Chand Award of ICMR, Professor Arjuna Sharma Memorial Award of National Academy of Sciences, Chandrakala Hora Memorial Medal of INSA. And definitely the illustrious research journey of ma'am is an inspirational for all the next generation of women scientists. Thank you, ma'am, for agreeing to participate in this event, and may we request you to kindly address the gathering.
Yes, can you hear my voice properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a second, yeah. So it's a great pleasure to be here. And I thank Dr. Suraksha and her team to have invited me here and giving this opportunity to speak on the occasion of the Women's Day. I think it was a pleasure to hear the young scientists that came and presented their progress or their life, sort of summary of their lives. We are actually today celebrating the success of women, because we should recall that women have made tremendous progress. My grandmother was behind the parda, but today I'm what I'm doing. So during the past 2 decades, but particularly during the past 2 decades, women have really come out of stereotypes and excelled in various fields. Because diversity adds to the success of any endeavor. The overall progress in any field with men and women as equal partners have succeeded. So we have to remember that we are in a field where there are less women, but we have to think why. Now, I would like to just mention a very recent comment by the UNESCO Southeast Asia Director Eric Falt. He said that a braided river never falters on its way to the sea, just as Indian women scientists invariably demonstrate intellect, grit, and power in the accomplishment of their personal and professional quests. Now, we have seen that the number of women going in for higher education and having advanced degrees has rapidly increased in recent times, with India having the highest numbers of female STEM graduates in the world, estimated at 2.6 million graduates. So the progress is perceptible. But every time it so happens that when we are talking about women in science, we talk about what has not happened. So, with decades of global conversation on the acute need to escalate women's representation, why are we still facing such an issue? Strong arguments are there that the majority of interventions meant to promote women in science have been guided by an inconsistent understanding and oversimplification of the problems. Maybe so, maybe not. Agencies have tried women based programs and the outcomes have been positive. We know that the outcomes are good. Perhaps we need to look now at the entire issue with a different mindset, because not only the world has changed, the societal patterns have changed, and there has been a huge progress in the scientific field. So perhaps we need to look at it a little more differently. Now, again, going back to why there are less women, we have seen that the problem, if we look at the problem more critically, it is a complex nature and varies according to culture, countries, and social situation. And for the young people who are here, they should be encouraging not only themselves, their friends as well, that why it is important to encourage more women to be in science. It is important because a country for progressing needs women to come in, and participation varies among fields, but it is about 30% participation of women. One needs to encourage more women to join the science stream. So not only parents, not only the school, the friends should be encouraging each other to join science and become scientists of the future. So if we do an analysis of what are the causes of women's underrepresentation in STEM, we shall not find a straight answer. Is it gender differences or it is social inequalities? If we take an example to see if it works perfectly as our perceptions say, Finland is a country that excels in gender equality, with girls outperforming boys in science. But as such, Finland should have less of a gender gap in STEM fields. Yet, Finland has one of the lowest proportion of women earning STEM degrees. This is along with Norway and Sweden, which also rank high in gender equality. In Algeria, reverse is the case. Why? So it is very country specific and society specific. So I thought, because the young people are here, that one needs more exposure to role models. The questions are that is it true that women always face problems? The women that we look up to as role models, are they very different? Did they face difficulties? What kind of struggle did they have? Or what made them succeed? Now, with young scientists who are listening to this, I suggest that they should read biographies of role models. This is because one can identify with them and get answers for important questions. While it is important to know the current day role models who are in different institutions in India and have grown through the modern times, I feel that one should also get exposed to role models of yesteryears simply to appreciate the qualities of grit, determination, hard work, and perseverance. They came at a different time, and we are at a different time. We need to know how their great determination worked, how perseverance worked. So we should know all this, but we need to know our current day role models as well, who has grown through this modern day situation and can tell you about problems or guide you the way they have grown up. Now, I just wanted to mention 2 or 3 women who you might want to look up. One is Dr. Muthulakshmi Reddy, who came from a Devdasi community. One of the things that we should do is also to uplift society. So she came from a Devdasi community, and all the boys from the school were told not to come because they will get corrupted. But she pursued, and she actually did medicine and scored a perfect 100 in surgery. She established the Adyar Cancer Center, which serves a large community of cancer patients. And she was a social reformer and legislator from the Madras Presidency at a time when, when things were not all right for women. But she had such a grit that she could create this institution, which is serving so many people today. This is real contribution to the growth of the nation. This is real contribution to humanity. Another woman was Ida Shadar, who was a European lady who dedicated her life in India. And you all know about Vellore Medical College. That's what she established. And she started under a tree with with a van with one bed. And it is now the Christian Medical College Hospital. So she, even being an European, had to go through so much trouble to create that. So that was hard work, perseverance, grit, and determination. So these are the characters that have no gender. And the young women should know that they can, if they have those, they will succeed in life. Mary Punen Lukos is another woman who was the first female Surgeon General in India. She came at her date of birth was 1886. She was alive till 1976. And she was the founder of a tuberculosis sanatorium in Nagarcoil. And later it grew to become Kanyakumari Government Medical College. So you can see that what these women could do at a time when it was very difficult to be a woman. So now we have different communities of women in science, like women in science administration, women teachers of science subjects, women technicians in science laboratories, women entrepreneurs in science, women researchers in science, women students in science. You can be coming to any of these disciplines. Women in science administration is very important, because then, like somebody said, they were thanking Suraksha for for cooperation. So if you have more women scientists in science administration, then surely women will feel encouraged to come into science and deal with scientific subjects. So what we have seen, that there are career breaks, like pre-marriage, there are about 14% breaks. Before first child, there is a 30% break. After second child, there's a 70% loss. And after the first child, it's actually 37% loss, and after second child, it's 17% loss. So this is where the agencies should come in and provide women-friendly facilities, which I'm sorry to say that it is not there in most of the institutions in India. I have seen some, but not all. But I can say that they are not there. Our latest STI policy clearly mentions about encouraging women in science and technology, that gender parity, participation of women in STI activities is important. New and flexible schemes to address the mobility challenges of employed women, scientists and technologists will be put in place. Somebody was speaking who said there was a mobility challenge. So the STI policy promises to do so. A broad scope for re-entry of women into R&D and facilitation mechanisms for special career paths in reverse areas will be sought. So this is very important, because the STI policy says hopefully it will get implemented. And we also need to increase participation of women in scientific conferences in all aspects of science, in fact, because I believe that if you have a life in science, you should also have a holistic life, in the sense that you should be appreciating other disciplines as well, because then only you can appreciate science. Because I can tell you one incident from my life, that I was captaining and vice captaining the women's cricket team during my MSc and college days. And when I was doing that, what I learned from there, the teamwork, came in so useful in while I started doing science. So that is why your life should have a holistic look. Now, the recommendations that one can make are the problems of women in different layers of society in joining science stream should be analyzed and addressed. Because as I said, that in the current, this changed world, we should look at whether we are doing the right thing or are we thinking rightly, because things have changed. Also, science has progressed. Schools and universities should take steps for gender sensitization in the field of education. It is happening, but it has to happen with more robustly. Exposure to role models is essential so that young women can identify themselves with inspiring individuals. I have already talked about 2 or 3 of them. And the ultimate example is, of course, all of you would know about Madame Curie, who changed the world literally through her discoveries. But the amount of discrimination, the amount of difficulties she faced and weathered it is an example to learn. Counseling should be done for women coming from poorer and underprivileged sections of the society. This is where I think it is very important that we should support each other. There are people who come from a section of society that are not as privileged as some of us are, so we should be supporting them. We should implement policies making it easier for women to make a career choice, both by central as well as state governments. That's very important. And we should see whether they are being promoted, they are not being discriminated against, and also that they have a harmonious environment in the institutions that they are working in. We should support financially with fellowships. And importantly, women should be in leadership positions. It is happening, but it's happening very slowly, because the leadership position, when women come into leadership positions, they would think about the others and train them as leaders. And women can be very good leaders because they are very sincere, creative. The private sector also should attempt to enhance opportunities for women, and mentoring system is very important, as per my perception, that we should be mentoring younger women, whether we are at school, college, institutes, wherever in the family. We should have a mentoring system. And gender-friendly facilities, as I mentioned already, should be in all organizations. Outreach program for schoolgirls is important because that is where we make the first impression. And there should be flexi time, daycare centers, relaxation of age limits, gender audits and ratings. And Secretary also mentioned about the age limit issue. So I think these are the few words I wanted to say on the occasion of Women's Day. And I again repeat that I congratulate all the women. Today we are not discussing what has not happened. We are actually celebrating the progress of women. And I think the fact that Women's Day, it's not only today, it's every day. And we should be, with such efforts, we can go forward and have more successful women in various professions as leaders, as scientists. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your words of inspiration and for taking time out of your busy schedule to address the young women researchers. Ma'am has very relevant recommendations for the funding agencies and policy makers, and also for women to motivate themselves and have determination. Once again, thank you, ma'am. Now coming to the end of the program, I request Dr. Firoz Suri, Project Manager, DBT HRD, PMU at RCB, to kindly give the vote of thanks.
Very good afternoon to all the dignitaries and participants. My name is Firoz Suri, and I'm glad to deliver the vote of thanks on the behalf of Department of Biotechnology on the occasion of International Women's Day. A special thanks to our chief guest, Dr. Chandrima Saha, for accepting our invitation and for delivering a very inspiring keynote address. Thank you, ma'am. We are grateful to Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Honorable Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, for gracing the occasion with his special address. I also extend thanks to Dr. Sudhanshu Vrati, Dr. Sanjay Kumar Mishra, Dr. Suraksha Diwan for their wonderful guidance and support in organizing this event. The Women's Day celebration could not have been possible without the success stories of the women scientists of the DBT BioCare program. And we would like to thank Dr. Puniti Mathur, Dr. Kanchan Bhardwaj, Dr. Harsha Bajaj, and Dr. Rakhi Sharma Day sharing their success stories with us. It's really inspiring. We would also like to thank our IT team, support staff for providing seamless technical support in organizing this event, and especially Ms. Shreya Malik for coordinating and comparing this event. Most importantly, we would like to express our gratitude to all the women in our lives and at our workplaces for their immense contribution towards making this world a beautiful place to live. Thank you very much. I would request all the participants and panelists who are available online to please switch on their cameras so that we'll take a photograph over here and we'll capture this moment. So please switch on your cameras. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So we have few more women officers from DBT, and I request Dr. Sanjay Mishra sir to also please present them with a token of appreciation on the occasion of this important event. Also, we thank all the attendees and all the participants and dignitaries who participated in this event. Thank you so much.
As someone pointed out, the Women's Day is every day. So the split should be for every day, not for one day. Of course. Right, great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you.